Hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff. Don't forget to leave a like on the video. It helps out the channel a lot. Every thumbs up helps out the channel's algorithm and lets YouTube know that people are basically watching. Bitcoin is undervalued. Right. It's just a matter of how much at this point. We're not going to get into some kind of a really weird argument or anything along those lines. However, as prices have recovered in the last seemingly 3 weeks or so, the news has currently been that because of all the bills that were signed within the United States, rather recently, all the words and all the other things like that, this is apparently why the market is recovering, because it gives extra regulatory clarity. We've had a couple of interesting price predictions for XRP as of late. We've had a couple for Ethereum as well. The predictions, in case you missed it, people are adamant that Ethereum is on its way, not a joke, to $10,000 to $15,000 plus per coin. If this does work out, then it's going to be incredible for altcoin holders as well. The topic of discussion is, because of this, actually revolving around Bitcoin. There's a very famous analyst within this space, and I will say it this way. I wonder exactly how much more famouser he might be by the end of this year. His name is PlanB. He has the stock to flow ratio, which basically shows Bitcoin scarcity relative to everything else. For those of you who might have missed it at some point, the typical inflation rate for a fiat currency, they usually say it's between 1% to 2%. This is normally a lie. The numbers are usually a lot higher. And the issue is, over the last few years, you've seen the TV. Somebody on your local news or otherwise will tell you, well, we got some really good numbers back. Inflation's only 2.1%. You'll go to the supermarket, you'll see that milk is up by 30 cents. The cereal you were buying before is a whole $3 more expensive. That's not 2%. The inflation rate is actually a lot higher. So fiat currencies are terrible and they have a very high inflation number. Many other assets tend to have lower inflation numbers, but we're talking about a finite asset where more can be made, but you can't make more. So more Bitcoin will be mined, but it has a maximum number that can never be mined. Got it. I think gold's inflation rate is usually touted around 1.8 or 2.5%. It depends on where you look. It's actually a lot higher than that, similar to diamonds. If you get a chance, look up these documentaries. They're out there for you. It's not a tinfoil hat thing either. These companies who mine the most gold and silver and diamonds around the world, they keep the supply super low to make it seem like as if there's not a lot coming out. None of these things are actually rare. You just have to know where to look. So on top of that, after all of that discussion, comparatively, I think the current number is 0.86. That's what's sticking in my head. I believe that that's the current inflation rate for Bitcoin. It has the lowest inflation rate of every other asset that we currently have on the planet, and is also, based on numbers, the rarest thing as well. So, with Bitcoin constantly pushing up in price, with expectations being a $150,000 Bitcoin in the very near future, there are a lot of people discussing and talking and shouting that Bitcoin is going, they say, to be at $250,000 by September, October, with the potential of $500,000 per coin by December, PlanB says, despite all the positive price movements and all the things that we've been seeing, he said Bitcoin is incredibly undervalued. It is 10, 20, or 30, or 40x more undervalued than it actually should be. I'm going to explain. You'll get it in very short time. In a post on Twitter, PlanB argued that relative to gold, Bitcoin has a higher stock-to-flow ratio of approximately 1 to 120 compared to gold's 60. Notably, a higher stock-to-flow number implies a greater amount of scarcity. Therefore, Bitcoin relatively is doubly scarce than gold currently is. He said despite gold's historical nature, he insists that Bitcoin is even scarcer. The analyst argument rests on the 21 million cap of Bitcoin. He noted that Bitcoin currently has a market cap of $2 trillion compared to gold's $20 trillion, saying that this is at least a 10 times undervaluation in terms of the current price. But because Bitcoin is twice as rare as gold, this would then imply a $40 trillion market cap for Bitcoin. We have, and I'll give it to you this way. If you don't know this, I'm going to tell you. Bitcoin is incredibly undervalued, not just based off of, I don't care. It's not that I don't care what PlanB says, but I have a lot of logic in me, and logic tells me the exact same thing. The issue that a lot of people are going to have in the future is coming to terms with the fact that they didn't buy any Bitcoin. They shunned Bitcoin to the side, or they simply didn't believe in numbers. I know that sounds crazy. There are a lot of people who don't like math, don't listen to math, don't listen to actual logic. We got news, I want to say 10 days ago. It feels like 10 days. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. We got news again about the ETFs in the United States and how much cryptocurrencies that they've been currently purchasing. The news that we got doubly was that BlackRock alone, I think, is currently absorbing 5 times 500% the amount of Bitcoin that's currently being mined per day. That Bitcoin that's being mined per day isn't all hitting crypto exchanges. However, their buying is 500% more than is actually being created. MicroStrategy is buying so much Bitcoin that they actually lowered Bitcoin's inflation rate by another 2%, making it even more deflationary mathematical wise than it should have actually been. Since then, we've had about another good 15 or so companies who've announced that they're also buying Bitcoin, and the other 150 who've already purchased, constantly announcing that they're buying more. There's barely any left. I don't care what the conversation ends up turning into or what people think. We are moving into a world where it looks like crypto is going to take over just off of sheer logic and the news. 2, Bitcoin's going to be worth several $1 million per coin. And 3, there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be very upset that they don't have any Bitcoin whatsoever, as these people buy everything up, even with these undervalued numbers. Did you see the news recently that the United States is considering essentially forcing banks to allow Bitcoin as collateral for mortgages? So at some point, logic will shine through. Even with prices in the last few weeks, I've been telling my friends, I'm like, we're not there. I think when Bitcoin hits $500,000 per coin, I'll be a little bit more inclined to be like, okay, this seems a little bit more realistic. When we have a $15 XRP, I'm going to go, okay, this feels right. $15,000, $20,000 Ether makes a lot of sense. Most used blockchain on the planet. We're going to get there eventually. And yes, Bitcoin is far more undervalued than you could possibly begin to imagine. So The train is leaving the station, and make sure that you have a seat or that you're on the train. Something. You got to do something at this point because everybody else is going to be left behind. I hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.